A 2-hour flight east of Moscow will land you in a city called Perm. It's one of Russia's most populous administrative capitals and the industrial and cultural centre of the European Urals. Lying on the banks of the Kama River, it's home to almost 1 million people. And as you take a walk around, it's easy to see that this is a Russian city trying to create an impression. Perm is quickly making a name for itself in the contemporary art world, and a generous local government grant means there's something colourful, crunchy, or just colossal around almost every corner. And right here in the centre of the city, you can find the highlight of its contemporary art project. Now that is 1,500 logs making up a Cyrillic letter P for Perm. And the city's artistic pedigree has been further enhanced by their new contemporary art museum. It's been open since 2009 and houses a variety of unusual and striking exhibits. Now, among all the paintings here, I'm rather fond of this little sculpture. Quite an impressive bunch of Kremlins, don't you think? And the head of Perm's public art programme, Nalia, believes that the changes are adding to the city's reputation.
Perm today is in the vanguard of cultural and social issues, which affect not only this particular region, but also the country as a whole. This is very important.
And it's not just professional artists that are being showcased here. Now, these 600 snowmen are all part of a citywide project designed to get the people more involved in art. And they've all been made and decorated by the local school kids. And freezing temperatures are no barrier to a good time. And Perm's icy playgrounds are filled with the young and the young at heart. Whoa. Oh, there's no age limit on these things. What? Well, I've had a stroll through Perm's winter wonderland, but it seems to me that there's one very important guy who's still missing. Father Frost, hello.
Hello, James.
Nice to meet you.
I'm glad to see you here in Perm.
Thank you very much. I've heard that you are quite an unusual Father Frost. Is it true?
Yes, I'm a real dyed-in-the-wool Father Frost, complete with a real beard.
Impressive beard.
I'd like to show you some of my winter tricks.
That'd be brilliant. Super brilliant. And it's clear from the beginning that Lev is no ordinary Santa. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Russia's fittest Father Frost. I definitely wouldn't want to be on his naughty list. So now I get to find out, am I remotely as coordinated as a 69-year-old man? I think the answer is probably not, but we'll see. Yeah, this is great. Oh, blimey. Whoa. Right, okay, is my cat-like balance keeping me up here and a little help from Father Frost? Whoa, ooh, blimey, cripes, am I going to sit on his shoulder? Ah! Sorry, I didn't break the poor guy's back. Blimey. Are you okay? I didn't break anything, no? Thankful that I hadn't done any permanent damage, I left Lev to his acrobatics and headed back out into the streets. It was time for a little souvenir hunting. There aren't many things more strongly associated with Russia than the bear. And although you might not see too many running around the streets of Perm, that doesn't mean you can't find them, if you know where to look. And if you go down to one particular workshop, you're sure of a big surprise. Now, these are the sort of bears you really wouldn't mind running into. And here in Perm, their maker's a bit of a superstar because she's the winner of a Golden George, the equivalent of a teddy bear Oscar. Natasha Katayeva's designs have been cleaning up in international competitions for several years now, from her postcard bears to her jeans characters. And she's amassed an impressive collection of her own. Some of Natasha's bears are real antiques, including one that's supposed to have belonged to Tsar Nicholas II. She used to be a doll maker who turned to teddies when a Scottish friend brought her some plans to make bear clothing. Now she can put together a new furry friend in around 10 hours. And she's a pretty good teacher too. So Natasha here has kindly offered to show me the art of making your own teddy bear. So I'm going to see if I can get this little guy to look a little bit more cuddly. After a quick tutorial on stuffing, my first bear began to look far more healthy, and I was ready for something a little more delicate. Although that was easier said than done. No, fail. And then there was the question of how to get them in the right position. I have no idea where the needle is going. It looks brutal, but it's being cruel to be kind, I promise you. 9. 9? Oh, this is becoming quite tricky. But eventually, after some minor brain surgery, we were ready for the finishing touch. Come on then, old boy. There we go. Apparently, according to Natasha, it's only when the eyes go in that the bear actually becomes a bear. So, I don't know, what do you think? He might not be an Oscar winner, but I think he's quite lovable. I was finally ready to explore some of the Perm region, and I started in the southeast, in the picturesque city of Kungur. Back in the 18th century, Kungur was considered to be the capital of the Urals, and it was one of the most important stops along the trade route to Siberia. But it was 100 years later, with the birth of its favourite son, that it really reached its heyday. Meet Alexei Gubkin, the man who became Russia's most famous tea importer, and my lovely guide, Olga, who's going to tell me a little bit about his life.
Hello, James. Our Kungur earned the title of tea capital of the Russian Empire thanks to the merchant Alexei Gubkin. His talent was responsible for the fact that tea was no longer an exotic beverage. It was something accessible to all. Alexei was dubbed a tea pioneer, a discoverer of sorts.
Gubkin's achievements transformed Kungur. And as Olga's museum is devoted to his life and work, it seemed only right to sample his wares. Well, in this case, I think we do need to have a cup in his honour. So, Olga, shall we drink to Gubkin?
Of course, James, let's go.
Great. And with, of course, a musical accompaniment. Just below the main exhibition hall is a replica of a 19th century Russian tea house. And although the brew itself became more affordable in Gubkin's time, not everyone was able to have their tea with all the trimmings.
Sugar was expensive, so much so that ordinary people could not afford it. In that case, they drank tea while gazing at the sugar. A lump of sugar was suspended from the ceiling. Tea drinkers would just look at the sugar while sucking on a button. It fooled their brains into thinking their tea was sweet.
The samovar was also becoming more and more widespread, and tea drinking part and parcel of each meal. Cafes like this one were places to take your time in, whether you were a merchant striking your deal, or just friends enjoying a leisurely discussion. Well, it seems they had the right idea to me back in the 19th century. A fine cuppa and excellent company. What more could you want? Mr. Gubkin.
Вечно над головою их, хвала и радование, и веселье постигнет их, вот где же болезнь, печаль.
It was time to return to the present, but down on the Kungur River, a far more ancient tradition was taking place. I'd arrived in time for the Russian Orthodox celebration of Epiphany. The festival commemorates Jesus' baptism, and dozens of people were gathering by a hole in the ice to observe the sanctifying of the waters. You see the crowd coming in here en masse with as many containers as they can carry, because after the water has been blessed, the Russian Orthodox people believe that it's become incorruptible, and they'll take all this water home with them to bless themselves, their families, and their houses. It was a bit of a scramble, but at least for now everyone was staying dry, and I headed off to watch the festival's culmination in one of Kungur's most famous landmarks. Well, this has got to be the Perm region's natural highlight. I'm in the Kungur cave, and it's the only ice cave in Russia that's equipped for tourist expeditions. And these beautiful crystals hang from the walls all year round. The cave's ventilation system acts like a natural freezer, meaning the ice near its entrance never thaws, and stalactites and stalagmites decorate its ceilings and floors. Wow. It's amazingly beautiful, but it isn't half slippery. The cave was first documented back in the 9th century, and it's been a guided tourist attraction for well over 100 years. It can be pretty cramped in places, but as you move further back, the ice recedes and the landscape starts to change. The whole cave extends almost 6 kilometers underground, and this should give you an idea of some of the variations of the size of the grottos. This one is, well, massive compared to the polar grotto we saw right at the beginning, and also it's much, much warmer. It's probably about +2 here, and back at the start it was around -12. The cave reaches a depth of almost 60 meters, and it's here at the bottom that you find its underground lakes, and, just for tonight, a crowd of the faithful. So once the service is finished here, everyone queues up for a quick splash of holy water and a blessing from the priest. And for the bravest believers, that's the signal to take the plunge. 3 full dips into the lake to honor the Holy Trinity and wash away all their sins from the past year. Now, I've got the utmost respect for guys like this, but purely for health and safety reasons, you understand, I shall not be immersing my whole body in this freezing water. So I think I'm going to try an Epiphany light. I don't know, maybe it'll take care of a parking fine, something like that. I made my way out of the cave and away from Kungur. The city may be a beautifully preserved part of the region's industrial past, but I was ready to take a trip into the countryside, to a place with a mysterious reputation.